How does one face certain death? One man survived a horrific car crash that cost him half his skull, but not his life. Join us here each week for amazing survival tales of superhuman strength. Find out why these people refuse to succumb, but instead show us how they survive. This is Helen Clayton. In the year 1963, she and Ralph Flores would be stranded in the Yukon wilderness for almost 50 days straight. Neither of them could have anticipated their fate. The single-engine plane they flew was heading south from Alaska to California, but would crash in the dead of winter in waist-deep snow with next to no food or emergency supplies. The unlikely duo will be forced to depend on one another on a frigid Yukon mountainside. Miss Clayton was a 21-year-old Jewish woman from Brooklyn, and Flores, the pilot, a 41-year-old Mormon and father of 6 from California. But Mr. Flores, an inexperienced pilot, did not know how to fly using only the aircraft's instruments, an essential skill in poor weather conditions, and did not bring adequate food or basic survival gear like an axe, sleeping bags, or a rifle. These things would have come in handy. Helen recounts the incident as feeling that the pilot didn't know where he was, and he wouldn't say we were lost, but I knew we were, she says. We were flying by a mountain and I saw trees right beneath us. I knew we were going to crash. It was at this point that Mr. Flores shouted out loud, "Okay, Helen, here it comes." I saw the right wingtip hit the trees and I just closed my eyes. The plane crashed into a desolate forested stretch of the mountainside near the Yukon-British Columbia border, blacking out the pair instantly. Not only did the two miraculously survive the crash, but Mrs. Claiborne suffered a broken left arm and Mr. Flores fractured his jaw and several ribs. The stranded pair would go on to endure 49 agonizing days of sub-zero temperatures. Some of that time huddled inside the cabin of the plane's wreckage, and at other times in the lean-to that Mr. Flores built. After the incident, Helen recounted how she sat there, trying to analyze the pain in her foot. She said, "I had frostbite and gangrene in my right foot. My arm was broken, and it was 45 degrees below zero, and they would not have food for 40 days. You see, their original food cache ran out 10 days after they crash landed. In subsequent interviews after they were rescued, Helen would explain how they melted snow and pretended it was soup. She would tell how they chewed on chewing gum for weeks. All this went on below as pilots roamed the skies above looking for the wreckage. She says about the 5th week, we discovered toothpaste and had a little dab just to freshen our breath and to eat. 49 days into the Pacific Northwest, we withdrew 45 pounds from Helen's small frame. Before the crash, Helen weighed 140 pounds. In effect, Helen and her pilot lived off of their own fat reserves. Days after the search for them had been finally called off, Chuck Hamilton, a pilot from Watson Lake, spotted their SOS sign in the snow. Chuck would alert authorities that the missing crew had been spotted and was on the ground. When asked later did the rescue turn out to be the way she had imagined, she would reply, "I expected to be rescued by helicopter, and they would let down a rope and I would climb up that rope. And another variation on that was a dog sled would come in and get me, bundle me up, and take me across the tundra into the sunset with mounted police waiting for me." But as fate would have it, Chuck the pilot would personally land his craft and carry Helen on his back 3 miles to safety. Helen Clayton's ordeal would go on to make headlines around the world. Here are some photos taken just after the rescue, along with the damaged engine and fuselage of the plane. In these pictures, you can see their living conditions, along with the lake that signaled SOS. Both survivors would go on to write books, and a museum with memorabilia of the crash would be opened in the name of the pilot who secured their rescue. On December 2nd, 2018, Helen died at her home in Palo Alto, California. She was 76 years of age.